we are back and we're going to look at the timeline of life at the mute charts. So let me start you on that. So, making my camera smaller. Okay, so same chart you just saw, but it's the mute version of the chart. So what are you noticing straight off? Good, you're noticing the different colors at the top, very observant. And let me give you a closer look. There's a reason that the shading is changing. Excuse me, those aren't quite touching. There we go. The timeline of life is 4 charts. We have 3 of them now. All right. The other, one lesson that I wasn't able to give you that I regret, it's sitting right here, my homemade long black line. And so the long black line is a lesson that Dr. Montessori gave. She heard some children talking about how they, just kind of with a little bit of a superior attitude, like humans were the greatest, most evolved, just most superior living thing. And she tied a string to the back of a donkey. She gave that donkey a pat and sent it walking away. And as the donkey walked, the long black line started to unroll. And as it unrolled, she told the story of the evolution of life on Earth. So this is a long black line. But it's so long and my home is so small, I can't really give you this lesson. But if we're back together, I will. I thought about having Brady hold one end and me walking away from him for a very long time. In any event, at the bottom of the timeline of life, you will see that long black line. And that is what that is. Okay, so let's look at the big picture of what's happening on these charts. We have the bars at the top. We have the Proterozoic. Zoic means life. Protero, I'm going to ask you to look that up yourself. I could tell you, I want to tell you, but then we have the Paleozoic. Zoic means life. And that's where we're going to, as far as we're going to go, we're not going to do all of this today. This is a lot of different lessons, but I just want you to get the big picture. So we're looking at the Proterozoic and the Paleozoic. Now, within each of these periods of time, of course, those are the names of the eras. Then we have the age. So the Proterozoic was the age of new life. And within the Paleozoic, please notice this second bar. Watch the color. Watching the colors. And they change to a darker blue, and they change to a lighter blue. All right, coming back. So this first age is the age of invertebrates. And when we see the color change here, let me make sure. Okay, sorry. A text message came in from Brady's school. Age of fishes. And then age of amphibians. All right, now there's a third line. And I can't find it in my bag, but I have it here on my poster. So for the Proterozoic, the Precambrian is the period. There are several different periods of the Paleozoic. So another assignment, if you don't have a dictionary, you can Google, you can look up Cambrian. Now it's going to give you Cambria, England. It'll probably give you Cambria in Northern California. You'll learn new things all along. Ordovician. Silurian. But I would like you to do a little investigative research of your own. I don't want to just tell you everything. Devonian. Carboniferous. And Permian. All right, we're starting to build. Another important piece. Good thing we studied the animal classification and plant classification charts, because let's look at these lines. So this torn piece here shows that, yes, this is a timeline, but things were happening before this. And if we go to the end, well, actually, I don't have the last poster with me. It's torn at the end too, because things are still coming up. The very first life on Earth was that blue-green algae, the cyanobacteria. It all started there. And now there's a whole different branch of lines. Let me move this out for now. We can follow this down. This is our center line. Coming down, coming down. It's moving a bit. Okay, so that's the main line that's coming down, but you'll see, like for example here, here's age of fishes, here's age of invertebrates, Cambrian, Ordovician, Silurian. Let's look at what's happening here. So something is happening. There's a line that's breaking into two different types of animal or living thing or plant, depending on, we'll know when we get there. Here's another line that's splitting. We see pretty consistent lines in the beginning, and then lots of turning, crossing roads. Here's a line that now is split into two lines. Whew, and split again. Oh, a line that stops. I wonder what that means. So you will be an expert at all of this before long. Let's have a peek at this. Our main categories that you're so familiar with: the Porifera, Coelenterata, Mollusca, Echinodermata. So that's why we needed to study all of that before we could understand the timeline of life. Okay, I think I'm going to read to you for just a minute, and that was probably enough for today. I can't really tell if I'm in this clip. Let's see, can you see me? No. Can you see me now? Okay, hi. Yeah, okay. Glasses. Okay, I think you can see me okay. Better? Geesh. Really wasn't meant to do movies. Okay, Paleozoic. So, the Paleozoic era began about 550 million years ago. Paleozoic means old life, so you got one giveaway. At the beginning of the Paleozoic era, there were many new kinds of animals. Thanks to the work of cyanobacteria, Earth's atmosphere was rich with oxygen. The new life forms used oxygen to live. All phyla were represented in the beginning of the Paleozoic era. Arthropods, mollusks, and echinoderms were present. The first chordates, precursors to the vertebrates, were there too, as were jellyfish, worms, and sponges. Don't worry, we'll go into great detail on all of this. Some of these animals could take minerals from the ocean water. They used the minerals to make hard body parts. For the first time in Earth's history, animals had teeth. They made shells to protect themselves. Because of these hard body parts, we can find fossils of the animals that lived during this time. Trilobites were the most famous of the animals that lived during the Paleozoic. There were 6 distinct periods of the Paleozoic era.
the Cambrian, Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, Carboniferous, and Permian. Each period has characteristics that make it different from other periods. The weather changes over time, sometimes warmer, sometimes cooler. Even the continents move to different places on Earth. These changes favored different animal groups at different times. Animals that could adapt to the new conditions became more successful. During the first 3 periods, there was no life on land. At the end of the Silurian, the first plants started to grow on land. This happened slowly at first, but by the Carboniferous period, there were many plants and animals living on land. Many of the animals were amphibians. They lived part of their lives in the water and part on land. The first reptiles evolved towards the end of the Paleozoic era. They had thick, scaly skin and didn't need the water to lay their eggs like the amphibians. The Permian period was the last period of the Paleozoic era. Something drastic happened at the end of the Permian period. It affected all living things. Many animals became extinct at the same time. Even species that survived had their numbers greatly reduced. Okay, I will be back.